In this video, we're going to talk about sentences, fragments, and run-ons. So first thing we're going to talk about is a complete sentence. This should be a review because we've talked about this in previous lessons. A complete sentence needs a subject and a predicate. A complete sentence also expresses a complete thought, and it can stand on its own. So in other words, all you need is that one sentence, and you get all the information that you need. So if we take a look at an example of a complete sentence, Mary plays the guitar well. So let's check to see if this meets all of our requirements. So the subject of this sentence is Mary. That's who the sentence is about. And the predicate always starts with the verb. The verb is plays, and then the rest of it is plays the guitar well. So this is a complete sentence that meets all our requirements. Next thing we're going to talk about is a sentence fragment. A sentence fragment, first of all, is not a complete sentence, and there's two reasons it's not complete. The one reason it's not complete is because it could either be missing a subject or a predicate. Another reason it may not be complete is because it's a dependent clause. Remember, we said a dependent clause has a subject and predicate, but it begins with a subordinate conjunction, and that's what makes it dependent on another part of the sentence. Let's take a look at our sentence fragments here. Our first example plays the guitar well. If you take a look at this example, notice how this example does not have a subject. So this is a fragment. There's no subject. The second sentence, we do have a subject, Mary, and we do also have a predicate. The problem is we have this because here, and this because is one of those subordinate conjunctions. So this makes it a dependent clause. This sentence would depend on another sentence in order to work. So that's why it's a fragment. Last thing we're going to talk about is a run-on sentence. Run-on sentence. These are two complete sentences, but the problem is that they are missing the proper punctuation to join these sentences. There's several ways we can fix run-on sentences. We could put periods in, we could put a conjunction in with a comma, but if it's a run-on, it doesn't have either one of those. So if we take a look at an example here, we have Mary plays the guitar well. She won an award. One thing we could do is just put a period here, and that would fix this. Another way we could fix it is we could put a comma in and put something like so. She won an award. Either way would work. As it was before, though, it was a run-on sentence. So let's take a look at a little PowerPoint here. And what we're going to do is we're going to review fragments, first of all. We're going to skip through a lot of these slides here because we talked about this already. But what I do want to take a look at is this. The lamb danced to his favorite tune. So my first question, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out, is this a complete sentence or is this a fragment? So my first question is, does this sentence have a subject? It does. It's the lamb. Does this sentence have a predicate? It does. It's danced to his favorite tune. So if it has a subject and a predicate, this is a complete sentence. Dr. McFerbutt listened to his favorite patient's heartbeat. Again, does this sentence have a subject? It does. Does it have a predicate? It does. So it is a complete sentence. If we have a sentence like this one, Speed Racer, my favorite sports car. Does this sentence have a subject? It does have a subject, it's Speed Racer. The problem is the sentence does not have a predicate. So since it doesn't have a predicate, in other words, it doesn't have a verb in here, this is a sentence fragment, it's not a complete sentence. Cruise across the Atlantic in a ship. Again, does this sentence have a subject? No, it doesn't. It starts right with a verb. So this is the predicate of the sentence. It does not have a subject. This is not a complete sentence. So then the trick becomes, how can I fix these sentences? Because that's where we want to go. First of all, we want to be able to recognize that if a sentence is a fragment or run-on, then we want to be able to fix it. So this one here, we need to fix it by adding a subject. It could be anything. We could put Bob cruised across the Atlantic in a ship, and it would work. And he crashed. Now, a lot of people get tricked on this type of scenario because there's two words, so it automatically looks like this may not be a complete sentence. But when we look at it, we have leading, that's a subject, crash is a predicate, it's a verb. This is actually a complete sentence. It's short, but it is complete. Ite runs around in the pasture. Notice how this starts out with a verb. This whole thing is a predicate. We need to make it a complete sentence by adding a subject, so we can put something like the horse eats hay, runs around in the pasture. Before Sam picked up peaches. This one does have a subject, and it does have a predicate. Problem is, it has this word before. This is one of these subordinate clauses, or subordinate conjunctions, and this makes this a dependent clause, so it depends on another part of the sentence. So in order to make this work, we would have to add something like, before Sam picked up peaches, he washed his hands. Because the client was nervous. It's a sentence that has a subject and it has a predicate, so subject would be client, predicate would be nervous. Problem is, it has that word because. Because is a subordinate conjunction, so it's a dependent clause. It depends on something else to make it complete. So we'd have to add something. So we can put something like, because the client was nervous, he was sweating. Now we're going to take a look at a few sentences we're going to decide is a complete or run-on. So if I say I went to the Smoky Mountain National Park, I climbed up to the Laurel Falls. Notice how we have two things going on here. We have I climbed to the Smoky Mountain National Park. We put a period there. And then we have our second thought. I climbed to the Laurel Falls. Or if I have something like this computer doesn't make sense to me. It came without a manual. We have two separate sentences here. Both of them are on one complete thought. So both of these are okay. These are sentences. Most of these computers are in the Learning Assistance Center are already broken. This proves my point about American computer manufacturers. This is a red flag here because it goes on for quite a while, so we need to ask ourselves, is it on one thought? No, it's not. We have two different thoughts here. We have one thought saying that most of the computers are already broken. Then we have another thought talking about why American manufacturing or computer manufacturing companies are no good. Okay, so we put a period after already, and then we begin a new sentence with this.